Hey everyone. Sorry, just getting used to all of this technology. Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me, Stephanie?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I hear you. All right. So, welcome back to another episode of Raising the Bar. Thank you guys for coming back and joining us. Stephanie, let us know what we are going to be talking about this week.
So this week we are talking about legacy, and we're talking about building a legacy. And that's kind of exciting because it's really important that you don't just leave fried chicken when you roll up out of here. You leave your kids you leave your kids something, and you leave. I have an echo. I'm sorry, I'm going to take that out. Okay, sorry. I had an echo. So, anyways, just kind of building and leaving them something. And it's not all about money, but it definitely helps them so that they're able to grieve when you leave and they don't have to be worried about clocking in on somebody's job, or they're able to do what they need to do to continue life without you in a manner that does not hold them back. It does not keep them from excelling in life. And so I kind of have a scripture that kind of starts off where we're going this morning. And it's Proverbs 31:27 through 29. And it says, I posted it earlier this week on my page to kind of give y'all an intro of where we're headed. It says, she watches over the affairs of her household and does not eat bread of idleness. Her children rise up and call her blessed. Her husband praises her as well. My daughters have done noble things, but you surpass them all. And that's kind of that scripture that I lead into, or I live into. I try to lead by. And it's the idleness for me that kind of grasps me. And idleness is laziness. And it's where you're just kind of stuck in inactivity. And me and Nisha also had a podcast on, I was about to say iPod. We had a podcast on being in this state of inactivity, and that's what we're kind of calling you out of. That's what we're asking you to come out of, is and build some legacy, leave your children something. And it's really quick, it's really easy. I think topic today, just kind of talking about life insurance. We're talking about budgeting, and I mean, it's really simple basic stuff. I mean, I just felt, let's do
Yeah.
something out of the norm. Let's build something different than what we've been taught to leave or taught to do.
Right.
Do something more.
Right. And then too, I just want to add, like, when we talk about building a legacy, you may think like, okay, well, what does that mean? And it starts with purpose. Like, you talked about that idleness, you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes we get so idle to where, it's because we don't know what our purpose is, right? No one is on this earth just by happenstance. Like, you are here for a reason. And it's your job while you're here to figure out what that reason is. And part of that reason is your purpose.
Right.
And, me and my husband, we were having a conversation a couple of days ago. We were talking about purpose and how, I was saying how, purpose doesn't always have to be like this big grandiose elaborate thing, right? Like you know what I mean, it doesn't have to be a purpose of changing the lives of hundreds of thousands of people or millions of people,
Right.
right? Like, your purpose can be to raise your family. You know
Yes.
what I mean? That can be your purpose, and you can.
That's huge.
Right, and you can, do what God has set for you to do just by raising your family and just, what you read in that line from Proverbs 31, being that Proverbs 31 woman is part, that could be part of your purpose. I feel like, that's part of my purpose as being a mother and a wife, is to be the best that I can be for my children and for my husband. So that's part of my purpose.
Well, I'm trying not to get teary-eyed this morning
Mhm.
because I think you nailed it just then. Like, if I feel I everybody's calling is different, and so learning your calling, it takes time. So don't panic or hit the panic button or worry about that part. But she said raising your family, and that means so much more because I feel like if I'm called to talk to all these people, that's great. But if I don't do a good job in my home, if I don't do a good job raising my family, then what have I done? What have I done this for? This is all in vain. This all means nothing if my children are not who I think they should be or who they're called to be, or I've nurtured them into a place where they can figure out who they're meant to be. So I think you hit it on
Mhm.
the head just then. Legacy is so much more than money. It's not just money. It's not just that. It's so much deeper. I think you really, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
like I feel like we could just end on that. Like that's that alone is good. Okay.
But yeah.
So, a little
Mhm.
bit more about legacy, and I think like I said, I think she nailed it. So legacy, I was gonna give the definition, but after we went that way,
Mhm.
we can steer away from it. It talks about the amount of money or the property, and children, our husband, all that's property. I mean, however
Mhm.
you look at it, it's up to you, but that's a part of
Mhm.
property.
Yeah.
So anyways, so what I wanted to talk about for a quick second was just about life insurance. I think that's a topic that we don't really cover a lot. And it all kind of intertwines with budget. So y'all, this is gonna be quick and easy. Like, so get some life insurance, basically. And a lot of gurus say get what's the insurance term life insurance, or you can get whole life insurance.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, tell me, like, the difference between that because I know, like, me personally, like, I purchased term life insurance, right? Just not knowing. I just saw insurance and then I was like, "Ooh, that's how much it's gonna be." Like that's not gonna put a dent in my pocket. And
exactly.
then like when I really read into it, like, it wasn't what I was expecting. So can you
So what
explain?
were you expecting? Like, what did you
Like, I didn't know that there was a difference. I didn't know that there was a difference between term and whole life. Like, I just thought like life insurance was life insurance. Like, if I bought this policy, then if I die 30 years from now, like it's gonna go to my kids. Like, no, not term, not term life.
not term. Okay, so that's perfect. So, term life insurance, and I'm not getting paid for this. I'm just trying to help y'all figure out little steps that help you be a little bit more stable when we're trying to continue this journey and be great parents and be great people and be whoever God has called you to be. And purpose, I feel like that's a whole nother thing. So,
Mhm,
anyways, term life insurance is where you pay for 20 years and it is so much cheaper. I mean, it's like a whole life insurance policy, for example, is like 120. And then a term life insurance policy, that same amount would only cost you like $35, depending on your age. And I'm telling y'all to do this early. And I can't get anybody in my age group to talk about life insurance, which is so weird to me because we have 3 kids, a house, a dog, a cat, and everything else. So why wouldn't you want to leave some money somewhere so somebody can take care of these things so that you can leave these things? This is a part of taking care of your family. This is a part of making sure your family is okay. So term life insurance, after 20 years, you have basically sent that money into never never land and you're never going to get it back. But you've only sent $35, versus the $100 that you're going to pay um up until you're 60, I think. So let's flip over. So whole life means that you're going to have the policy for the duration of your life. You're going to pay on it for 20 or 30 years. I think mine goes to 79. How old am I? 35. And I think the policy takes me like 30 years to pay up. But when I'm done paying for the policy, it will mature for one. It adds value. It continues to add value. And let me tell you something else that whole life does. I can pull from that. So I think I don't like when all their children turn 18 and they have to work a lot of overtime. I
right.
I, I don't want to do that. So I've put whole life in place in an effort to say if I need some money, if Malia is this exceptional, when she will be an exceptional student with scholarships, speaking it into existence. If I decide that she needed a car at that moment, I can dig into that policy so it doubles. I don't have to die for it to be beneficial to me. And but term is just what it says. It's only in the event of your death. But it's cheaper. So I think that's where we can say what's more important, our budget. We can start talking about our budget. So is it in your budget to do term life insurance and have it after 20 years? You have paid $35 for 20 years and it means nothing. And now that you're older, 20 years later, that same policy is going to double or triple in price. So
Mm.
you have some people hope they die at the end of the 20 years.
No. I won't care about that. And,
Right.
and like
Isn't
after,
that crazy?
I learned what, the term life was, and I was like, okay, well, maybe I should just, cancel this or whatever. But I was like, well, no, because
Mm,
it's still, it'll still serve a purpose. So,
well,
if you aren't where you can afford, to purchase whole life and the term life is an option for you at that time, that still covers you for that time period because,
yes.
I mean, tomorrow isn't promised, you know what I mean? And in the field that I work in,
We
everyone
watch
knows I'm a
people
nurse. You know
go.
what I mean? I
Yeah,
watch people go, like my age and younger, and they leave kids behind. And it's just like, it can happen at any time. You know what I mean? You don't have to be sick to, be called home.
you
So
know, ooh, the
you know
be
what I
called
mean?
home. Yes, come on, please
Right.
say it.
So, you know what I mean? So it's good to at least have something. And like with term life insurance it is cheaper. So, like I think like the policy I got it's like $14 a month. You know what I mean? So it's like it's a Netflix subscription. You know what I mean? Like I don't notice it. Like I can put it on auto and just have it come out and just
Right.
know that if something happened to me,
There's something in
alright, there's something there, you know what I mean? But, uh-oh, something came up on my computer, sorry. Do y'all still see me?
yeah, we can
Okay,
see
there we go. Oh, sorry,
color.
some update, I don't know.
Right,
But yeah, but, like you were talking about, purchasing whole life insurance, if like, say, for instance, right now, you don't have the money to pay for a whole life
right,
plan, at least try to get the term life in place, and then your goal is to work to get in that whole life, so then that way you're gonna have it, forever. It's gonna be something that's gonna pass down to your kids when you're 80, or
right,
90 or
yes,
100 or
and then you
whatever.
can pass it down to your kids,
Right,
like,
you
you
can
can
pass
pass
it down.
it down, so
Mhm.
they and even if you wanna buy them one, they would, like, the children's policy pays up in, like, 10 by the time they're 18, it's paid up, but that's also in place. My children will bury me when I'm old and raggedy, and I say that all the time. I'll be old and a raggedy old lady with I don't wanna say I'm gonna have a walker, I'm gonna be 100 with no walker, but, um it's still in place for again, if I needed it for something else because I don't wanna work overtime the second they turn 18 and go off to college. It feels illegal to me. I gotta work this hard and then I work even harder when they're older? That's weird.
Right.
That's weird. I know it's not like the topic that y'all wanna hear about, but I
Okay.
just feel pulled. I wanna talk about everything. I want us to talk about everything that pertains to being a whole person, like
Mhm.
how to be whole and have that purpose. And I think our next conversation, kind of diving into purpose, is a good
Mhm.
topic to lead it up into, like just kind of diving a little deeper into purpose. Cause
Yeah.
I think you nailed that. I don't know. I really don't want to go anywhere else. Like I want to stay right there.
Yeah,
Purpose is not just speaking to
right.
millions or having a platform. Okay.
Right, it can be right at home, you know what I mean? It's fulfilling what, just what God has given you dominion over, which is yourself,
Yeah.
your family. So, and and I'll add on to, a little bit to that too with, building a legacy. Like, when you're trying to set out to figure out what it is you want to do. We talked about purpose, right? And you decide, okay, you know what, my purpose is my family. I'm gonna put my energy into my family. Then you have to recognize or determine what your values are, right? Just in Proverbs 31 it talks about, being a woman of virtue. A woman of virtue is having values, having
Yes.
that moral core, right? Like that's what you refer back to when it's time to make decisions, when it's time to do things. You know what I mean? It's like your blueprint.
Right.
and you have to live in accordance to those morals. That's how we go about, and and the Bible is the perfect place to go and to guide you, on those morals too.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I got a little stuck
No,
with that part, but
no, that's
that's
it.
just how, just for me, you know what I mean? Like, I talk a lot about having standards, you know what I mean? It's important that you have standards. Those standards are what those morals are, and being able to determine what is right for you and your family, what is not right for you and your family, and moving in accordance to that, you know?
Yeah. I think your family is the practice that you get to other people, like, it's the practice before you get out here and get to talk to other people and get to help other people. How
Mhm.
are you doing home? And make that priority first, before anything else, before, whatever your calling is, home,
Mhm.
home first. Oh my gosh.
Exactly. And then of course, then you got to have that vision when you want, when you're building your legacy, have that vision of what it is that you want for your family. Like, especially, with kids is easy, right? Because we know that we're going to raise our kids. We want them to grow up to be healthy adults, we want them to, do well in school, learn everything they need and learn, go to college, get degrees, get a
Yeah.
great paying
Oh,
job,
entrepreneur. I mean,
right, be an
remember
entrepreneur, right. You know what
build
I mean?
computers in the basement like Mac? Please, by all means.
Right.
Help, help.
Yeah. So
Sorry, I'm focused.
no, you're fine. So it's like, when you have that purpose, that's your family, you have your values, now you have the vision of how you want to raise your kids. Because what's the Bible verse that says, raise your children in the way that they should go?
And when they
Yeah.
are old, they will not depart from it. Yes.
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
and it
Right.
starts young. I don't know, I'm not good at, like,
Mm-hmm.
where is that in the Bible, but I can look it up.
Mm-hmm.
But, and when they're old, so I always try to remember that when I think they're too young for something, I remember that scripture and I try to implement that. And y'all, this is not without fail. Like, Shawty be over here tripping over her toes, okay? I'm like, "Huh, I let's try again." So it's not without fail. Like, what we're asking y'all to do, we're asking you to try. We're asking for people around us. We're asking for a community of women that come together, women and men, because if we got a whole bunch of good women and no good men, then this is going nowhere fast because
Mm-hmm.
we're supposed to marry. Don't get me started. Okay. So,
Right. Mhm.
shoot, I forgot where I was
Yeah.
going. Where was I
No,
going?
that is okay. No. And I wanna add too, like, because we talked about, life insurance, I guess kinda like the switch, I'd be getting all, like,
Well,
philosophical and stuff. I'd be
okay.
like, "Oh."
No, but I think that's what, adds value
Mhm.
to this is that,
Yeah.
we're just trying to be 100% and talk about things that nobody
Mhm.
can talk about, and if you wanna message us, if you wanna talk to us, like, please, by any means, I
Yeah,
can try to
definitely.
help you. I'm not 100% great at this, but let's try
Mhm.
together. Let's try to build a different community, a community where
Mhm.
we find importance in things that matter.
Mhm.
Instagram model, if that's what you wanna do, it's important, but be what you're portraying to be, okay? Let's
Right.
build a legacy. Legacy is a strong foundation also. We're talking about foundation here. It's a strong
Mhm.
foundation. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess, just moving back onto the money part, right?
Yeah, which is super important
Because yeah, because that's important too, because, and definitely in our community, we don't want to leave our children with bills, like you
to know.
said. Like, um, so having a vision to want to be able to leave something for your children should be a part of your plan as well. And, one thing that is easy to leave behind your children is property, is a home. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? Like your that can be part of your goal is to purchase a home to be able to pass down to your children, because you know think about it like this, like the same way with the life insurance policy, your children they're going to get a check in the mail that's going to be able to help them with something that they need in their life, right? And it's a leg up. It's something to help
Okay.
them to, step up from where they are. So if you're able to leave a home to your children,
A leg
there
up?
that's a leg up because
That's the only leg I
now a home is a moneymaker, right? Your children can either they can live in that home themselves, you know what I mean? So you are for sure that your children will not be homeless because you left them a home.
Oh,
They also
mm,
have an asset there. So if they need to sell, they can sell the home and, get money from that to be able to
yes.
do whatever they need to do. Or, right now, being a uh, why can't
Uh,
landlord.
I'm like, "A landlord?"
That was so weird. I'm like, "What is doing?" I'm
That's
like,
good too. That
oh,
that
yeah.
that's legacy building,
That's
you know.
legacy building because now, you've left your children a job, right? Now they don't have to go out and find a job. They have a way to make money because now they can utilize the home that you left them and they can rent that out to a family and, make money from that. You know what I mean? So that is like thinking forward, you know what I mean? Thinking
Yeah.
beyond yourself, you know what I mean? Like I know like I tell Chris all the time. I'm like my kids are still teenagers. They're not like but I'm already like excited about being a grandmother one day. Like that is like one of the most amazing things to me is, being able to see my grandchild come into this world. Like, of course, like, I tell my kids, take your time, okay? Go to school, get your grades, go,
Yes,
you know what I mean? You go
yes.
to school,
Build a life,
build a
no,
life
not a
first.
hard life, 'cause
Right. You
okay.
know what I mean? Because mama ain't raising no babies, even though I will. But mama don't want to raise no babies,
No,
okay?
no.
Like I want to travel. I want to have that alone time, that little empty net, that empty
Nest,
nest
yes.
phase,
Let me
with
feel
my
it, please,
husband.
please.
Right, you know what I'm saying, and travel a little bit. So, of course, I'm teaching my children to be responsible,
Right,
but at the same time, like I get excited thinking that I'm gonna be a grandmother one day. You know
right,
what I mean?
right.
And I want to make sure that what I'm doing right now is for one that is setting my children up the best that they can and knowing that my grandchildren will be more secure when they come into this world, all based off of decisions that I made
You
now.
may
You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's so important to be thinking beyond yourself. And I know for some people that may provoke anxiety because you're like, I don't have myself together right now.
right,
You know
right.
what? And that is okay because the fact that you are able to realize that I'm not where I need to be right now, that's step one. You recognize it, you understand it, and you know, like, okay, I need to do something. And just by you being aware and trying to do better is going to help steer you away from being destructive or, driving
Right.
yourself into more debt. So just the fact that you are aware right now is giving your children a leg up.
It
So,
is. It is.
mm,
It'll bring change about. I wanna end on that note,
mhm,
actually, because I want that to simmer. I want that to be the final thing that you hear, that it's not just about you. We're
mhm,
asking you to think about somebody other than yourself. It doesn't matter the amount of money in your bank account right now. We're asking you to become conscious. We're asking you what was the podcast called when we're asking them to become
mhm.
conscious? Oh my gosh. I why
Conscious. Which part is
I'm like, what?
what
But,
is
we're asking you to be present. Let's keep it simple. Look, we're asking you to be present.
I can't, like, repeat stuff.
Girl, I can't either to save my life.
Okay,
Be
just be
present
it
and
just
think about other than yourself, okay?
yes,
That's the drive it
mhm,
home. And next week, we're gonna talk a little bit more about, diving into your purpose because that question comes
mhm.
up a lot. I
Yeah,
mean,
like, what is my purpose? Yeah,
right. So,
mhm,
next week when we talk about purpose, it comes up too often, and I really wanna dive into it anyway because I wanna make sure that my children, know purpose before we get grown and can't figure it out, okay?
mhm. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. Thank you guys for joining us. Definitely leave us some comments, and let us know, like, if there's a topic that you guys, want us to talk about, and
Absolutely.
we can dive into that, what we think about things, we're not, we just don't want to just be giving what we wanna do, right? We wanna engage, you know what I mean? We wanna engage with, you guys, and, give as much value as we can. So definitely follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram,
Yeah.
share, like, subscribe, and thank you for joining us, and we will see you guys again next week.
Bye.
Bye.